everyone, I'm Amber Vittoria, and I'm an illustrator. And over the last few weeks, I've been playing with Editor X, the platform for advanced web design. And I'm really excited to show you in this upcoming video a personal piece that I've made using Editor X. It takes my thoughts on creativity and my artwork itself and puts it together in a really beautiful way. I think it turned out pretty great, and I'm excited to show you. Okay, let's do this. So first things first, I'm gonna hide the header and footer from this page and add an illustration that I uploaded earlier. I'll stretch it so that it fills the section and add this image over it. Let's align it to the top and set its width to 100%. Now for the text, I'll start by adding a text box from the Add panel and paste some text into it. The text I've prepared talks about my creative process and how I manage my schedule and creativity throughout the day. I think it fits nicely with the illustration here. I'll set the text box to 90% width, update the color to white, and bold it. Now I want to make sure that the text falls across 4 lines. Okay, that looks good. And I want it to feel exactly the right size on every viewport. So let's try a text scale from 10 to 100. Whoa, no, that's too big. Let's try something smaller. For this to work, I need each line of the text to be in its own text box. So I'll duplicate the text and delete the first 3 lines. Now let's drag this 4th one down. All right. Now I'm doing it all again, but leaving the 3rd line and then dragging it down. And again as before. And now I'm deleting all the lines from the original text box apart from the first one. Okay, cool. Now let's organize it a bit here. I'll start with aligning the first line to the center and placing the other lines underneath it. When dragging the text boxes, I listen out for the snap, which tells me they're all centered. Okay, now for lots of technical stuff. I'm selecting the first line of text, setting the scroll effect to sticky so that it stays in place when scrolling, and changing the setting for the top margin to %. Now I'll change the top offset to be in viewport width, and the sticky offset so that it's the same as the top margin value. I'm going to do the same thing for the next 3 lines. Okay, perfect. Last one. Awesome. Okay, now I'm setting this top image to sticky, and as you can see, my text is covered by the top image. So I'm going to open the Layers panel to bring the text to the front. Now let's fix up the section itself. I'll set it to a viewport height of 600, which makes the section super long. Okay, so now we'll need a grid to divide the space and position the text. A custom one with 1 column and 6 rows. Okay, nice. Now that the framework is in place, let's move the text line so there is 1 per grid row. I'm selecting the first line of text, and using the grid area in the inspector panel, I'll set it to start on row 2 and end on row 3. So you'll see the line is now in the 2nd row of the grid. Now for the second line, I'm going to set it start on row 3 and end on row 4. And for the third, I'll start it on row 4 and end on row 5. And for the 4th and final line, yep, you got it right, it'll take up the 5th row. I'm just going to pause quickly to preview the site. It looks really awesome so far, which is great. Because I feel like as we put these together, you're like, will this turn out to be something cool? And it 100% will. So now let's get started on the last part where I'll build the fold that links to my portfolios. I'm selecting the sky illustration and setting it to end at row 6. This clears the last fold. Here I'll add a container and change the color to this great sunset orange. Now I'm filling the whole section with color by stretching the container. And I'll add another container, adjust its width, and set its minimum height so it scales proportionally. I'm aligning the container to the middle and setting the left margins. Now let's add a new image. I'll drag it to the container and stretch it to fill the space. And let's add a button here because I want to link to more images in the series. I'm always trying to show off my work. Hang on 1 second. Let's make sure that it's attached to the container. Awesome. I'm going to rename it and link it to the portfolio page. I'm really into pop-ins at the moment, and let's do semi-bold. I want to remove the border completely, so I'll select it and set its width to 0. 1 sec. Let's just align it to center. Great. Now I'm duplicating the container. Aligning it to the middle, and switching out the current image for another one. Now let's rename this button and link it to my commercial works portfolio. Now we just need to make sure that these margins are all good. Cool. And we're nearly done, but let's just double check through the layers panel that the orange container is behind everything else, which it is. And with that, I'm ready to preview my finished design. Wow, it looks awesome! Thanks for joining, and be sure to check out my other videos on Editor X.